Hello! Zip gun in the Tower of Pleasure. Smack at the highest point of the enchanted kingdom of Hermione. Just ahead of Baker Creek over there, which is near Milne's Landing, which is close to Souk, BC, which is 40 minutes from Victoria, BC, which is across the pond from Vancouver. There, you know where we are. Today we're wearing the Canberra Knights vintage Australian Hockey League jersey, combined with the Kazakhstan national team hat in the fervent hope that someday a game can be arranged between their two respective national teams. You never know. God, it might be in a shopping mall. That would be interesting. Titanic is doing pretty good. So is the Britannic. What was I going to review today? I was going to review something and I completely forgot. Oh, that's right. I was going to take a look. There's a new Iggy Pop box set coming out, which of course I'm going to buy because I'm a sucker record person. I'll buy anything that's half decent. But I don't have it yet, so I can't review it. So instead I'm going to review the old new Raw Power that came out. What year did this come out? What year did this come out, Dad? This is not even that new. It's fairly old now. Can't see. It's hard to read this shit. It's in microscopic print. 2010. This is 10 years old. Now this should be, possibly, one would hope, the last word on this record. You know Raw Power. The record, so many people think this is an amazing record. It's a pretty good record. I don't know. I'm a little sick of it. A lot of the songs don't have any endings. The opening of the record should be like this explosion of rage, and it's sort of not. What it is this kind of crummy recording of a band playing, and then suddenly the world's most obvious guitar overdub comes in and just rips your head off, and it's like, who mixed this? The great thing is, this is now the 4th incarnation of this that I have owned. I owned it on LP way back in the day. It sounded really bad. Thin. The epitome of solid state. No analog worth. Bad stuff. It stayed that way forever. It came out on CD. If anything, it sounded worse. Because I do believe the original CD was taken from the analog tape masters, which was always a terrible idea. But then Iggy got the brilliant idea that he should remix it. And you know, I got rid of that version. I wish I had kept it, because Iggy seemed to think that if you mixed everything 3 dB over the limit that it's supposed to be, it would sound better. This wasn't really the case. The mix itself was okay if you turned it really, really down, and if you tried to ever digitally transfer it to anything else, everything just caught on fire. It was so hot that most digital gear just distorted. And believe me, the one place where I like analog better than digital is when it comes to distortion. So it was kind of a useless thing, and it was like, and a lot of people told him so. And good guy that Iggy is, he listened to his fans and went, you know what, maybe we should just take the old one and remaster. So that's what they've done. They've taken the imperfect original mixes, they've laid hands upon it quite heavily. It now sounds okay. It sounds pretty good. Doesn't make the record, well, it makes it a little bit better for me as a performance, because the power that's supposed to be in this record, a little bit of it has been returned to it. So that's the good news. The really good news is that in order to sell it to suckers like me for the 4th time, they have added a gig from Atlanta, Georgia, 1973. And the disc also has 2 bonus tracks on it. Studio bonus tracks. You don't ever need to hear these. They're not. There's one called something like Doji Man, or what the heck is it called? I don't want to wear my glasses the whole time, but Doji Man, outtake. Yeah, this is no good. Head-on rehearsal performance. Yeah, they're really scraping the barrel. However, the gig is great because it's not bad sound. I would be very seriously surprised if there's any Iggy Pop gig prior to 1977 that is even an acceptably decent sound. They're all going to be rough. The sound isn't terrible on this. The best part, though, is, of course, needless to say, this is an Iggy Pop show, remember? Somewhere in the middle of it, his mic disappears. He's no longer in the recording. And this continues for a little while when suddenly the guitar drops out. And you know this is because Iggy has grabbed the guitar mic off the guitar cabinet and is singing in it because his mic has been destroyed, which is great. It's almost like being there. So, if you're a young person and you think, I should really buy Raw Power, this is probably the one to go for. If you can find any of the other ones cheap, what the heck, go for it. Buying it on vinyl is pointless. It's going to sound terrible, but then you'll have it on vinyl. This would be my choice. Back it goes. Of course, if you're like me, you've gone and bought this, the box set. Now, I was the sucker. I'll admit it. I'm a sucker when it comes to stuff like this. Sure, I'll buy this for the same amount of money I could have built a small garage for. But this is really cool if you're a recording nut. And of course, I'm a recording nut. That's what I've done with most of my adult life, is record. Because this is the whole ball of wax. The whole kabluna, the big kabluna. This is every moment of these sessions, I think. Certainly it's enough. It's every take of all the stuff they did. There's a couple of unreleased songs on it. They're not even half bad. There's 22 versions of Loose. And because this record was recorded differently than most rock and roll records, it's fascinating. Now, if you did this with the Beatles or God knows whom, it would be tedious. The Pet Sounds record suffers from this, the Pet Sounds box, which I have way up there. After a while, you kind of go, okay, this is great, but it's not really great listening. It's bitty. There's no vocals. There's whatever. Everything on here has lead vocals on it because Iggy set the band up like they were in a club in the studio, and he did the vocals while they did the beds. And the only overdubs on this record are the rhythm guitars, which I think is really cool. This is a really good sounding record. This sounds way better than Raw Power. I don't know. Maybe they were doing less cocaine on this record. Who knows? Certainly David Bowie wasn't there, which I can't believe didn't have an influence on the Raw Power sessions. So this is a really cool thing. And when it came out, I kind of looked at it and I went, and the thing that really got me, there was a couple of unreleased songs. Now, you know, I'm an old hand at this. These are not going to be mind-bendingly good because otherwise they probably would have been on the record. And that's the 9 times out of 10 thing. However, there was something like an 18-minute version of what we've all known and loved as LA Blues. Here it's called Freak, its original thing. And for 18 minutes, sax player Steve Harvey does his very best Coltrane imitation, while the Ashton brothers and Mr. Alexander just wail free jazz stuff. Like, these guys were really actually new. They were really into free jazz. They were into the, you know, the Sun Ra Art Ensemble kind of crowd. It's hard to think that they really were, or in Harry Parch, they were into Harry Parch. So this is them just losing it for about a half an hour. And it's fantastic. For me, it was worth buying the whole box for. The other cool things is things like Harvey plays soprano instead of tenor. There's a version of Dirt, if I remember right here, where the soprano comes out, and it's really cool. It's he was a really big addition to this record. So this apparently it was a limited edition. Oh, buy it now or it's going to disappear. I think it was 1,000. I got 950 or whatever it is. Lucky me. Only cost me a fortune. And then, of course, when they realized, oh, wait a minute, that kind of sold pretty quick. Suddenly it became a less limited edition. You can probably buy it now. If you're a Stooges fan, you need to hear this once. If you're a real Stooges fan, you probably should have. Oh, well, looks like the Titanic's holding its own. Britannic is not doing so good. This today is sponsored by Italy, by the way. And that's going to be it for this edition. I'll think up something cool for next time. Remember to subscribe if it's there. Give me money if it's there. There's still cool things to buy.